Welcome back to the Common Message podcast. This is Preston Pratt. This is Jonathan Guevara, where we share each week our lessons, where we speak on the same topic every single week. But this is our chance to kind of share with each other what we talked about and to find that common ground, that common message within those. And Jonathan, I want to start off because this week was interesting because we're talking obviously about the book of Philippians. We're in the series called Common Joy, and what we've been talking about every week is how Paul is in this tough situation. He's in prison, writing this letter to the church at Philippi. The church at Philippi, it seems like, is going through some level of persecution and suffering. And so, but the whole book's about joy. That's why the series is titled Common Joy. And the whole idea is no matter the situation, even in the hard moments, they're able to express joy. Now, what shifted for me and for us this week is, our church went through a hard week this week.
It was.
And so for me, it's the first time where I'm coming from a place of, I don't feel joyful. And now I'm having to preach about joy.
Yeah.
And so for me, I almost feel a little more in the shoes of Paul or the church a little bit, maybe more so than I have all week. But yeah, I think it's so important for us to, even in the midst of where we're at, and yes, those circumstances are still difficult, to see that, yes, there is still joy.
Yeah.
The truths of God are still true. That God is still God, and that his will will be done. That his kingdom is here. And so this week, I don't know about for you, I tried to bring some of that into my lesson.
Yeah.
And so, man, it was a hard week, but this week, if you're with us, we really talk about humility. We're in the beginning of chapter 2, verses 1 through 11, but I'll start with you, and I want to hear how you talked about chapter 2, verses 1 through 11, and then I'll share a little bit myself.
Yeah. Like Preston said, it was one of those weeks, friends, and I think we had to experience what deeper joy, or what is the source of deeper joy that comes from the Lord. Finding joy in difficulties is really hard.
Yeah.
And especially expressing joy is harder, because bringing joy to your life, but also expressing to others. And as servants of the Lord, we want to spread the joy of the Lord. So, but sometimes it's hard to do it because the circumstances are the opposite. We're not necessarily happy or smiling all the time, which means that the joy is not necessarily a sense of, let's say, emotional thing.
Right.
The joy is deeper. It goes through our soul, and we can express joy and hope even or despite the circumstances. So for us, this week was related to, I really wanted to emphasize a little bit about what means to be a leader, a father.
Yeah, good.
With
it was also Father's Day Sunday.
By the way, yeah.
If you're watching this maybe at a later date, last Sunday was Father's Day, yeah.
So our goal was seeing three aspects of the chapter 2, how Paul expresses the way that a leader should act in the midst of the circumstances. And I just focused it on parents. So as a dad, we went to a leader that is a servant. So based on the verse 2 and 3, and don't do anything but for egocentric reasons, or don't do anything for your own glory. And that's a servant is the one that serves, not looking for recognition. So what Paul is teaching us, or what I was expressing and helping our community, is understanding that as a parent or as a leader in your business or your family, community, your mom or anybody around you, we got to lead with with a humble heart.
Yeah.
With a humble heart. And it's fighting against the selfishness, and being selfish is the opposite of what Paul was addressing this topic. So we went to leader as a servant, and the second part is having sacrificial leadership, which is I'm gonna surrender even my position, as the verse 5 through 8. Jesus Christ was don't consider himself as a God, but also became a human, and also sacrificed himself on the cross. So even my position or possessions in this world, I just gotta have Jesus's attitude. which is a servant, and having that attitude. And the last one was talking about a leader that is not only sacrificial, but is a humble leader.
Hmm.
And I think the way to the greatness is being humble. So
Yeah.
so we during this chapter 2, we went through the leadership part, how to deal with circumstances, but at the
Mhm.
same time, as a guide for parents and people that leads others, how to do it with humble heart,
Yeah.
with sacrificial spirit, and at the same time as a servant. So that's what we
Yeah,
went.
super cool. Yeah, we brought in the Father's Day element as well. And I really, if there's one verse I really honed in on, it was that verse where Paul says, "So make my joy complete."
Wow.
And then he goes on, talks about, well, what makes my joy complete is when you guys look out for each other. When
Mhm.
you're one body, one mind, one love, and you're looking out for each other, not for yourself first, but others
Yes, sir.
first.
Yeah.
And I got to talking about, I told a story about how my children live into this. Like when I
Mhm.
see my children love each other well,
Mm.
it
It's
there's
joy.
nothing that makes me more happy. I'm
There's
proud.
joy.
And then you think about like, man, that's what God, when we love each other, when God looks down and his joy is complete. Like Paul, kind of as a spiritual father, is saying to the church at
Sure.
Philippi. And then kind of just like you mentioned, well, the exact opposite. What keeps us from living into that is that our very human nature, we're selfish.
Yeah.
We're so self-absorbed. And it's just natural for us to look out for ourselves first.
Mhm.
But the way it gets that
Mhm.
is humility.
Correct.
And man, do we have not a better example of a full life in humility as Jesus, who could have came as a Lord, but came as a servant or a
It's
slave.
incredible.
No rights, no honor, no glory. And even though he was God and could have used it at any point in time he wanted, he never did.
Mhm.
He was obedient even to the point of death, death on a cross. And we talked about how, like, for cross for us, we have tattoos and jewelry, and we were put. The crosses weren't something that we're celebrated. In. That was a symbol of
Horrible.
shame and humiliation,
Yeah.
and we even got into some of the Greco-Roman culture of how this even humility isn't something people strive for. Like
No.
that was something that was embarrassing.
Yeah.
Honor and glory, that's what we want to live for.
Yeah.
Humility. So Paul's words here in this time period were so radical.
Yes.
That humility is how we're gonna to make things right. Humility is how we're gonna change the world. And they're like, that's how Jesus changed
Yeah.
the world. And it's amazing to see, man, that's what the early church was living into. And so that was kind of, yeah, I mean, that just that wrestling with the human nature, that to live for ourselves, but man, there's so much more. And that's where I connect. And true joy is, it's counterproductive as it sounds. It's actually not about living for yourself.
Correct.
It's living for others and serving others. And I think when we live into it, we feel that, right? Like
Yeah. That's
when
true.
we really want to serve others, man, there is a
It's
joy.
joy.
There is a joy there. So yeah, super cool. I definitely see the connections there. And I wasn't even planning to bring in Father's Day.
Mhm.
It just kind of, some of those verses just really fit in. And then you have that moment at the very end where it talks about God exalts his son after he lives into this humility.
Yep.
And then we brought in the verse, but humble yourselves inside Lord, and he will exalt you.
Yeah.
The problem is we want to exalt ourselves, right? We
Yeah.
want to say, "Hey, look at me, look what I'm doing, look who I am."
And it's one of the, as you just mentioned, it's this human nature
Yeah.
that seems like the only way to the greatness is through destroying others.
Yeah.
And it's so radical because the best way to be recognized by the Lord as the greatest of the greatest, like given a name that is above any other name, was through humble,
Yeah.
through humiliation. It's like it's the opposite of what the word is offering right now. You see
Mhm.
social media or anywhere else, it's like strive for more, but also you can go and do whatever it takes
Yeah.
in order to grab and hold the greatness. And it's not a really popular conversation or even teaching,
Yeah.
saying people, no, if you're humble, if you're a servant, you're the greatest. Is the opposite. Like
Yeah.
we're not as a humans processing this in a way that is effective for being the greatest. And
Mm.
in God's vision, the one that serve other is the one that is the greatest in the kingdom. So
That's right. Yeah. We went into that Matthew 20 verse about, yeah, about serving others, and it's the first that should be like, I mean, it really is a reversal of our world. And that's one thing that he continues in chapter 2 that we'll talk about next week is just, man, the way that we live is sometimes going to be so countercultural.
Yeah.
And thank goodness we have the model of Jesus to look to, because sometimes it's like, I don't even know how to live this way because everything about me wants to rebel
Yeah.
against it. And so it takes intentionality. I love that verse 5. It says, set your minds
Set
as
your
in
minds.
Christ Jesus. Like it's
Yes.
this, you got to have this intentionality to literally live this counter life that Jesus
Mhm.
lived, a life that doesn't make sense in a lot of the world's eyes.
Mm.
And I love it. And I got into this, and I wish I had more time to unpack this, but I talked about at the end of how like we've been called to live in this upside down kingdom that looks so different.
Mhm.
Like, how much sense does it make the way to enter the kingdom
Mhm.
is through baptism?
Yeah.
Which baptism is this moment of submission, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm allowing you to put me down. And so it's also a lowering, it's like humility.
Sure.
It's a lowering to be exalted up. And if
Mhm.
you baptize people, they don't raise themselves up. Who raise, like you have to raise them up. And so it's this moment of allowing yourself to be raised up by another. And I
Sure.
think like the way we're baptized connects with the life that Jesus lived. It's this
Mhm.
moment of allowing himself to go down and allowing the submission, but also allowing, I'm not going to exalt myself. I'm going to allow God to raise me up.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
And so, yeah.
We were talking about a projected question, and I asked the question like almost at the end. Imagine that you have the power of the world. I don't know if you saw this movie, Bruce Almighty.
Oh yeah. 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 Yeah.
So it's so funny, and I remember watching the movie. And imagine in the morning that you have a conversation with God, and then He just give you the whole power, power of the universe. He went to the coffee shop and he opened the
Yeah.
coffee first, and it, how that would change my attitude towards others, or how can I act if I have the power to do anything and everything?
Hmm.
And imagine if they put me in the higher or the highest position in my company,
Yeah.
in my business, or in the government, or whatever. How my attitude towards other people is gonna act. So give some power to a man, and you will know how they are, how they really are.
That's
That's
right.
what
That's
somebody
right.
said. Imagine having all power and then intentionally, as you just
Yeah.
said, as a decision, just deciding just to believe and trust in God's provision, spending
Hmm.
40 days knowing that you have the power to provide for yourself and deciding just to be obedient. So that's the best example.
Yeah.
It's just knowing that even though I have titles or whatever I possessions, or if I have little or much, the real joy comes for serving.
That's right.
The real joy comes from understanding that God, we depend on God, and that's what we're really
Yeah.
focused
It's so much of it. Like I don't want people to hear this message and think it's wrong to have power to be in a place of leadership. That's not what we're saying at all. I mean, from the very beginning, God called us to be rulers.
on. Yes.
And the problem we miss is he called us to be rulers, what? As image bearers of God,
Yes.
which
Sure.
means you rule as God rules. And how did God rule? By lowering himself, by serving.
Serving.
And so wherever you're listening to this at, I mean, if you're in a place of leadership,
Mm.
what does that look like for you to lead as an image bearer of God, to lead in the way Jesus did, to rule in the way that Jesus did, whether that's in your household,
Mhm.
at your companies, in your church? I mean, all of it, it comes into the problem comes in when we try to rule as humans rule,
That's
and,
true.
and we just mess it all up.
And Paul said a word and a sentence that, and a statement that is really brings that to attention is consider others as superiors.
Mm-hmm.
And that's in your marriage, in our marriage, and our relationships, and
Yeah.
my conversation with my kids. I'm telling them to do something because my position
Mm.
or because I want to have an influence on them
Yeah.
with a humble heart. And imposition is never received well.
Mm-hmm.
Imposition is always creating this sense of rebel heart, And Paul said, "No, consider the other person superior
That's right.
to
Yeah.
yourself." So it was a beautiful chapter 2, and
Yeah.
I really looking forward to the next one.
Looking forward to next week. Any closing thoughts?
No, a beautiful day in terms of, even though it was a hard week, as we
Yeah.
just mentioned, I think God is healing heart through joy,
Yeah. Absolutely.
hope. As we talked last week, joy that there's a place waiting.
That's right.
And
Yeah.
but this week, for the ones around, for the ones that are still with us here in this podcast, I just want to say, serving is the way.
That's right.
Serving is the way.
Yeah. Yeah. And I do want him to say it was a hard week, but yet even in the midst of that, seeing the way that our church was leading into this message.
That is true.
Looking out for one another. Man, that brought me so much joy, and I know it brought the Father joy. And so, it is. It's the way of the kingdom. Humility and submission is the way of Jesus, the way of the kingdom. And he was the great role model of that. Looking forward to the next week as we continue to talk in chapter 2. And we hope you'll follow along with us either on Sunday morning or also here on the Common Message podcast. Thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you.
God bless.